rock and roll. All right, everybody, as we are running into the first week of football, we're going to be doing some Saturday night selections. So, hopefully, doing this weekly. We'll be covering a couple things. We're going to do the current rankings for the running backs and the wide receivers, the 1 through 36. With our 12-man leagues, that will have a running back 1, running back 2, running back 3. Same thing for the wide receivers. Get a little depth in there, and not always going to start Justin Jefferson every week and Jamar Chase, because those are kind of the obvious picks. But hopefully get a little depth in there, maybe some sleeper picks. So we'll cover those. Our stardoms, our positions 1, 2, and 3 that we just covered. And sit-ems, so 2 players, 2 running backs, and 2 wide receivers within that top 36 ranking that are probably not going to have a favorable matchup, even though they're not a bad player. Right? You definitely want them on your roster if you can get them, especially these 12-man leagues. But it might not be the best idea to start them this week. We're also going to do Rookie of the Week. So we're going to be choosing a rookie each week that either stood out or is kind of expected to have a big week, or maybe people are sleeping on it, and you can pick them up off the waiver wires and win the league, a little league winner there. And the last one is the 30-second salary. So that's where we go through FanDuel and pick a couple of the good lines and see can we make a few bucks on the side and have a little fun as we are rolling into this NFL season. So let's kick off week 1, the Saturday night selections, with our top 36 running backs. So we see here with our 3 brackets: running back 1s, running back 2s, and running back 3s. So I'll run through them real quick on our running back run. So you should have hopefully 1 from each category, unless you did a no running back strategy or got a little bit unlucky. But we have at the top, of course, our leading rusher from last year, Jonathan Taylor from Indianapolis, Christian McCaffrey, Carolina. Hopefully he can stay healthy this year. That'd be huge for them. They might be those two probably going head to head all year. Hopefully Christian McCaffrey can stay healthy, and I think might even have a better season, especially in the PPR format, than Jonathan Taylor. Austin Eckler, Derrick Henry, Najee Harris, Dalvin Cook, Joe Mixon, Alvin Kamara, as long as he does not get suspended, which it looks like it's getting pushed off until at least after the season, so that's good for New Orleans and the Saints fans. Aaron Jones, who hopefully will have a big year with Devontae Adams out of the picture. Saquon Barkley and Nick Chubb rounding out your running back 1s. Running back 2s, Javonte Williams, Leonard Fournette, Ezekiel Elliott, James Conner, Cam Akers. Even though Cam Akers had 3 touches this past Thursday versus the Bills, was very surprising, and that might be something that kind of gets adjusted going into week 2. Travis Etienne, the rookie, J.K. Dobbins, even though he will be out this week, and we'll have a different running back for Baltimore. David Montgomery, Elijah Mitchell, Breece Hall, the second rookie on the list, Josh Jacobs, and then A.J. Dillon rounding out our running back 2s. And then our RB3 is going to be Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Damian Harris, Miles Sanders, Rashad Penny, Kareem Hunt, Tony Pollard, Devin Singletary, Chase Edmonds, Ramondre Stevenson, Damian Pierce out of Houston, and then Melvin Gordon and James Cook. James Cook did have a little bit of a poor showing as well on Thursday. I think he had only a few touches, and he did lose a fumble. So hopefully he'll get caught up to that NFL speed and can hang on to the ball, because I'd like to see him. I think he'd be a great pass catcher for the Bills, and then they could, they're already the favorites for the Super Bowl, but I think that'll kind of push him over the edge, having a great running back and a pass catching running back outside of Devin Singletary. So those are our top 36 running backs going into week 1. Wide receivers, starting off here, Justin Jefferson, posed to have a big year. Even though Cooper Kupp had the Triple Crown last year, they still have Justin Jefferson ranked over Cooper Kupp, and that may be due to Minnesota getting a new offensive coordinator and the Matt Stafford injury. Matt Stafford had a horrible game on Thursday. He was sacked 7 times, 3 interceptions, and a fumble. So he did have a rough game, even though Cooper Kupp was the only shining light on the Rams. But Justin Jefferson does have, right now, spot 1. So going into 3, Jamar Chase, Devontae Adams moving over to Las Vegas, Stephon Diggs, great first game, CeeDee Lamb, Deebo Samuel, Tyreek Hill moving over to Miami, Michael Pittman Jr. with the Matt Ryan acquisition should be a lot better than Carson Wentz. Mike Evans, Tampa Bay, Keenan Allen, and A.J. Brown moving over to Philly from Tennessee. Wide receiver 2, so you got T. Higgins, DJ Moore, picking up Baker Mayfield at Carolina. You got Terry McLaurin, Mike Williams at 16, Deontay Johnson, Jalen Waddle, Cortland Sutton, DK Metcalf at 20, Michael Thomas returning back into the list after being out all year. At 21, the ghost Allen Robinson, who was non-existent in the game on Thursday. Chris Godwin, 23, and Brandon Cooks running out at 24 for your wide receiver 2s. And then to wrap up your wide receiver 3s, so this is if you have that 12-man, a good flex spot, or if there's a league where you have to start 3 wide receivers. These are kind of who you want to target, or if you don't have them, maybe they'll be on the waiver wire. You can snatch a good little wide receiver there. Jerry Jeudy at 25, Adam Thielen, Gabriel Davis had a pretty solid start as well on Thursday. Darnell Mooney, Marquise Brown going over to Arizona for Baltimore, which would be huge for him. Hunter Renfrow, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster going over to Kansas City, kind of taking up that Tyreek Hill spot. Rashad Bateman, Amari Cooper, Devontae Smith, and rounding out 36, Elijah Moore with the Jets. So a lot of these guys are going to have some monster seasons. We will definitely see some shifting, I think, after week 1. Some of these are, not even the fault of the wide receiver. I'm looking at DK Metcalf. I think, unfortunately, he's going to have a bit of a rough year. Same with Brandon Cooks. He's really consistent. But the Davis Mills is the quarterback at Houston. You're not going to have a top 20, top 10, not even probably a top 30 wide receiver with Davis Mills throwing you the quarterback. I could be wrong, but that's just kind of my gut feeling there. Same with Darnell Mooney. I don't know if Justin Fields has the arm for that. I know he's got the legs, he's got the mobility. It's great running the ball, but I just don't think he's very favorable to the wide receivers, kind of a Lamar Jackson-esque style. So with that being said, we're running into the stardoms. So our first start here is going to be the stardoms for the running backs. So my first pick in that top 12 section is going to be the King returning, King Derrick Henry from Tennessee. He's up against a pretty weak New York Giants defense. And you can see last year, he only played 8 games, and he was still 10th for attempts, 9th in yards, and tied for 6th in touchdowns. So we know he's going to get the workload. He's going to be a monster. They lost A.J. Brown. They also lost Julio Jones, so their wide receiver core is a little bit down. They got Treylon Burks, the rookie, who should have a good year, but they're going to rely on Derrick Henry pretty heavy this year. Going up against the weak New York Giants defense, which I think they're favored to win anyway. He should have a monster game. I wouldn't doubt to see 100, 120 yards plus 1 or 2 touchdowns. He also ends up having 2 or 3 catches a game, which is good for a little PPR. An extra couple of points does not hurt. So our first start is Derrick Henry. If you got him, I don't think you're benching him very much anyway, but this should be a good week to rely on him. Our second pick would be James Conner, the kind of touchdown machine from last year. I think he had 8 or 9 extra touchdowns than projected for the year last year. He ended up tying second in the league with 15. I think he was only behind Jonathan Taylor, which was, when you're 200 carries behind him, they're going to get more touchdowns. But going up against the Chiefs, ranked 12 defense, so a little bit tougher of a defensive opponent. But Arizona's missing a lot of weapons. I don't believe Zach Ertz is going to be out. They're missing D-Hop for the first 6 weeks. They also lost Christian Kirk, so I think they have Rondale Moore, and I don't know their third wide receiver is over at Arizona. But I think James Conner is going to have a pretty good weekend against the Chiefs. He should be able to deal with a screen pass as well. So I would run James Conner into the Chiefs as a running back 2 or a flex position if you have it. And our last running back is Rashad Penny. So this guy is actually kind of a sleeper. He fell to like rounds 8 and 9 in most drafts. But you can see even through 2021, when he was healthy, he had the highest average yards per attempt at 6.3 yards, which is actually monstrous. And he is probably on the worst team in the NFL, which is the downside for him, right? Their quarterback being Geno Smith, I think, is the lowest projected points of the week. It's between Geno Smith and Drew Lock throughout the year, which is neither one's going to be good news for the Seahawks. I think they're posed to becoming last, or them or the Houston Texans. So both of them are on really bad spots. And I think Pete Carroll stated that they want to run the ball at least 20 times a game. So if they're running it 20 times a game and he can still get 6 yards a carry, you have 120 yards right there. Never mind any screen passes, any touchdowns he grabs. As long as Rashad Penny stays healthy, I think he can move up and become, a running back 2. But right now, I would kind of keep him in a flex. I think he'll be, a consistent 10 to 16 points a week in most scenarios. So he's a good pick. If he's on the waivers, definitely pick him up, kind of watch him. But I think he still has a good chance. Denver is going to be on a rampage this week with Russell Wilson kind of taking revenge on Seattle. So we will see how that game goes. And then our sits for the week. Our first 2 sits. First one being Ezekiel Elliott. So they're going up against Tampa Bay, which is a tough defense. They lost Ndamukong Suh, which is not good for Tampa Bay. But I just don't like Elliott into there. I think Tony Pollard's going to play a big part in that offense as the primary running back as well. I think the Cowboys are going to be pretty far behind. I think it's going to be a heavy passing game back and forth. I don't think there's going to be much running on either side of the ball. So I don't like Ezekiel Elliott. If you don't have a great running back outside of your primary and he's your only kind of running back, I think you can slot him into running back 2 or flex if you need to. But if you have a better running back, I would kind of, I would start them. And then the other sit was Dameon Pierce versus Indianapolis. Indy's got a pretty stout defense at rank 4. He's the rookie who kind of beat out Marlon Mack, which was not crazy competition, but he's supposed to have a good year. I just don't think this is a great start for the rookie going into such a great defense, such a strong linebacker core. They're going to be behind, of course. They're going to get stomped all over by Jonathan Taylor and the Colts and Matt Ryan and Michael Pittman. I think it's going to be a very one-sided game. And maybe Brandon Cooks comes down with some good catches from Davis Mills, but I don't like Houston's offense into the Colts for this week. Now on to our wide receivers. So our wide receiver 1, we are actually going to go with Mike Evans into Dallas. This is the one, I think this is one of the highest scoring games according to FanDuel of the week. Dallas has a rank 14 defense, and we know Diggs is going to be on Mike Evans with Gronk gone, with Antonio Brown gone. There's going to be a lot of extra receptions out there, and Mike Evans has like a crazy 6 or 7 year streak with over 1,000 yards. So he's consistent. He had 14 touchdowns last year, which is second in the league. So we know he's going to get that volume. He's going to get those end zone targets. Diggs is kind of an all or nothing corner. So he's going to, he might get a pick, but he's also going to give up 100 plus yards to Mike Evans. So I think Mike Evans is bound to have a pretty solid week 1. I love that matchup going into Dallas. So I'm definitely starting Mike Evans week 1. We got a comment in the chat. I'm a 2 tight end league. Should I start Hayden Hurst and Aaron Hooper as my tight end too? Austin Hooper. I would go Austin Hooper as a tight end too. I definitely like Austin Hooper. I think he's been underrated for a little bit, so I'm going Austin Hooper as a tight end too for sure. Mike Williams versus Raiders. This is going to be my wide receiver 2. Raiders defense is abysmal. It's wet toilet paper. They're ranked 27. Yeah, no worry, Toasty. Yeah, Mike Williams. I think this is the year that he actually takes over the Chargers wide receiver one spot. Every For Mike Williams, the first 5 games of the season, he's lightning, right? He is taking over the game, scoring 20, 25 points a game, going berserk. As long as he doesn't get hurt, stays healthy, I think this is the year. Keenan Allen starts to slow down. He's in his 30s. Mike Williams kind of takes over as the wide receiver one, and we start off strong with a good 20+ point week versus Las Vegas. So I'm starting Mike Williams in the wide receiver 2 slot for sure. And then wide receiver 3, Juju Smith-Schuster. So this guy is he's a toss-up. He's a wild card. You either have a good week or a bad week with Juju. When you're drafting him, you're kind of on the edge. It's kind of a Christian McCaffrey style. So what I think, lost my words there. Patrick Mahomes with Juju Smith-Schuster. I do like that connection. We saw them through training camp. Juju looked really, really good. Looks like he healed from all his injuries, and he's going against a pretty weak Cardinals ranked 21 defense. So I'm taking Juju this year. He's got to replace all those Tyreek Hill catches. They also picked up the rookie Sky Moore, which kind of stretched the field, and I think Juju kind of sits in that middle of the field and just gets tons and tons of volume. So PPR monster. I'm going with Juju Smith-Schuster in the flex or in the wide receiver 3 spot this year. And our sit-on wide receivers, and this is what I talked about in the beginning. These wide receivers, both these guys are solid wide receivers. I just think they're in a bad position to be successful. Starting with DK Metcalf, you have Geno Smith throwing him the ball. Pete Carroll's already said they're going to be a run-first offense. So Rashad Penny's going to get that volume. When Kenneth Walker is healthy, Kenneth Walker's going to get that volume. DK's just not in a good spot. He was doing pretty good with Russ, but going from Russ to Geno Smith, it's going from a Hall of Fame quarterback to, unfortunately, a backup playing for you. It's pretty rough. Same with Amari Cooper. He's going against Carolina, which is not a good defense. But you have Jacoby Brissett throwing him the ball, which is good. It's going to be a season, a little bit of a rough season. I think maybe if they hit a stride week 4, week 5, this kind of turns around. But I think this is going to be a big backfield with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt kind of leading the way. So I'm pretty hesitant on these guys. Like I said, there's no reason, if you don't have any other players, if you play them in a flex, you're still going to be okay. You're still going to get maybe 8 points, 9 points. But these guys are not going to win you your league. They're not going to win you your week. They're just going to fill a spot. So if you want league winners, these are not the go-to guys. And then, actually, let me back out here. I think we missed some. Oh, we did. We're out of order. Let's see. Rookie of the week. So the rookie of the week, this is what I like to buy into. Christian Watson. So we know Aaron Rodgers has his guy, right? He had Jordy Nelson. He had Devontae Adams. I think Christian Watson could be that new guy for Aaron Rodgers. Alan Lazard's hurt. He's not playing this week. This is a big body, a 6'5" wide receiver. He's just a big man on the outside. He is going to get that volume, and he's got potential to be the wide receiver 1 at Green Bay as a rookie. They have Sammy Watkins, I believe, and Alan Lazard. So just the options there are horrific. I don't even mind Romeo Doubs, but I think Christian Watson is going to get that volume, and he's going to have a better connection with Aaron Rodgers. And I think you buy him now. There's not a ton of ownership on Christian Watson, according to the ownership percentages on the NFL Fantasy website. So I think we pick him up before he blows up, and he could be a league winner for you. And then our 30-second salary. So this one's going to be a quick one. We'll cover a couple quick lines through FanDuel. And these are the ones I noticed right off the bat where I think the wrong person's favored, or you have a pretty good chance to go with these. So we got 30 seconds. Let's see where we're at. Get a time real quick. Timer for 30 seconds. Okay, good. So Carolina Panthers, I take it the 1.5 at Carolina. I think Baker's gonna go absolute berserk on his team. I think Chris McCaffrey goes crazy. I take Carolina's at 1.5. I take also the upset Vikings over Packers. I think the Packers are going to struggle without Devontae Adams, and the Vikings have something to prove with their wide receivers and Dalvin Cook. And then I also take Russell Wilson at the revenge game for Seattle. I think they're going to go by more than 6.5. And that is our timer for our 30-second salaries. Hopefully you guys agree with those, and hopefully you guys can win some money and have some fun watching football this weekend. So if you guys have any questions, hopefully we can do this again weekly. I'll hopefully can download this, upload it to YouTube if you want to watch it, and stop by. Hopefully this is a little bit informational, a little bit fun, but I enjoyed it. So if you guys like it, if you have any feedback, let me know, and I will catch you guys next time. Thank you.